Do something you can't do. Juggle blindfolded. Play with your eyes closed. Trap a ball. It's thrown to you. Open it at the last second. Trap it. So that you're doing stuff faster and quicker, and you're making mistakes. He wants you to make mistakes. He says about half the time. If you're making them 80% of the time, it's frustrating. But if you're only making mistakes 10% of the time, it's still too easy. So he talks about the sweet spot, 50%. If you can find something that you kind of struggle with, let's say you're dribbling around cones. Yeah. Don't successfully dribble around them every time. Go so fast that you fall over. And he talks about people that before this science came into being that just already knew this. He says Gretzky would get to it. A rookie would come in, and they'd be skating around the pylons, and Gretzky's falling over. And the guy's like, I thought this guy was supposed to be good. He's like, you don't understand. That's what you do to get to Gretzky's level. You just push yourself and create errors and add what's called myelin to your circuitry.
That's interesting.
Like if we cut Messi open, he would have huge myelin sheaths around his nerve circuits.
Who?
Oh, God.
Lionel Messi. I'll tell you some. Okay. Here's someone who you do know, Einstein.
I've heard of Einstein.
They did an autopsy on Einstein to figure out how much myelin he had. Mm-hmm. Because even solving complex problems, even though it's not a physical activity, creates myelin in your brain for solving physics. Huge myelin sheath. Biggest one I've ever seen in a human being.
Huh.
So Dave, when you get divorced again, you're working on your myelin. You're going to do different things this time.
You know what? That's true. What's the relationships? He probably has a lot of myelin.
He has a lot of myelin and a lot of mileage, if you can see him.
So Malcolm Gladwell has a book called Outliers.
Similar book. Type of book.
Okay.
Yes.
Outliers, which basically is Outliers, the story of success. Gladwell says, and he studied people in different. I'm not sure if he did anything with athletes, but he
10,000 hour rule. Right?
What's that?
You're talking about the 10,000 hour.
Yes.
Rule. Coyle mentions that in the book.
Can you explain it to the audience?
Well, like you just said, he just studied and said how much on average did people spend to get to where they got, and the average is about 10,000 hours for a mathematician or a top scientist or a top soccer player.
And it's from between a certain age to a certain age, right?
So so everybody knows, there's 8,760 hours in a year.
Mm-hmm. Dave's up to his 9,000th hour in relationships. That's why he's got these. I'm not going to say.
Need a sawzall. They're going to need a sawzall to get through his myelin.
Moving on. I've got this on my list of things that you guys wanted to talk about. World Cup preview. I thought we just had this last week. How can we be talking about this again?
Paul, before I beat him, I'll let you go.
It's never ending, the World Cup. It's just, it ends and a new one begins, and a new calendar begins.
It doesn't. It's a soccer thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a thing where it makes no sense. It just continues. Oh yeah, we're gonna have another round. We're gonna have another round. Do they ever plan anything out, or do they just?
It's all planned out. They're building stadiums in Qatar as we speak.
They're going to build stadiums now.
Yeah. Yes.
For the World Cup in 20. Okay, what's that?
8 stadiums, and I believe 7,000 people have already been killed building them.
Yeah.
So they're under fire for human rights violations.
Wow, those are pretty tough foremen right there.
They'll still vote for Joe Biden, though. So don't worry about it,
Dave. 8. All right. So there are 8 stadiums being built right now. When do they actually play again?
The qualifying or the actual World Cup?
Who knows? I can't tell. You guys put World Cup preview. We just finished the World Cup a week and a half ago.
We did it.
And now, shouldn't they just at some point name a winner? Shouldn't they? This is the most. I'm looking at Brian, our engineer. You know what I mean, right?
Absolutely, David. I do.
Thank you. Yeah, it just goes on forever. They play forever, and then it's like all of a sudden they're playing friendlies. I love the idea of the friendlies, by the way. They don't call them exhibitions. They call them friendlies.
And every time you hear friendlies, you think of a fisherman jig. You wish you were at a friendlies.
Oh, I would not mind a fisherman jig right now. I could use a fribble. Every time I'm with you two, around midway through the show, I just think I could use a fribble.
So, Paul, why don't you explain when the World Cup is, and how we get there to Dave.
Oh, wait,
it takes a couple of years to qualify.
Why don't you just explain to me why you put World Cup preview on the list of things to talk about when the World Cup isn't till 2022, and we just finished qualifying? Explain.
This is actually a great podcast topic for people who don't follow it. So they all think like you, that it goes on forever and it's a trickle down.
Yeah, but you know why? You know why people think that? Because it does.
Yeah, I knew you were going there. So
I think we're at about, 200 teams left right now?
Yeah.
There's 200 teams. They're going to whittle it down to 32. And we just took an international break. I know you didn't. And the U.S. had 4 points. They won and they tied. And then the next break, they will play more games, and we will see where they stand in their little grouping. Mm-hmm. And they're not one of the favorites to win it, but hopefully they get in because they didn't get in 4 years ago.
Okay.
And it will be in Qatar, and there will be a lot of social protest when they're there because of all that's going on.
Okay. That sounds really good.
So did you get that? So how many teams do you start with, Paul? How many teams start?
Over 200.
Over 200 international teams start. They all get put into groups. It's called the group stage.
Yep.
Right? Qualifying
stage. The group stage?
Yeah, it's not like your Saturday night.
The group stage.
Groups.
That was from the 80s.
Yes, exactly.
So we start with 200 teams.
Plus.
And we whittle it down to 32, you said?
Yep.
Yeah, and then they break up into 8 groups of 4.
8 groups of 4.
And the winner of each group, and I believe only the second place team go to the
winner in second place. Yeah, correct.
To the round of 16, and then I think you can do the math from there. Can you get from 16 down to 1? I think
you know something. I think to myself, here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking this is why they never talk about soccer on sports radio, because it makes no sense. And I got to say, no offense, but midway through your explanation was fine. Your explanation was good, but like midway through. Mm-hmm. I started to think about the fribble. Yeah. I started to think about the fribble. And I'm thinking to myself, that would taste so good right now.
Oh, so that's what spilled on your shirt.
Aren't these friendly stores closed?
Not all of them. No, there are a couple open. There are a couple still open.
They're mainly doing...
So basically, they play forever. Mm-hmm. And then finally they get down to 1, and then they play forever again, and they basically interrupt all the other leagues' plays, all the other league play, so that they can play their tournament for no good reason, to whittle it down from 200 teams, 150 of which will not, or 150 of which will...
190.
Well, all right, 190 have no shot at all of ever winning.
Okay, but you know what? Growing up, how many times did we hear teams say they were world champs? And as a kid, didn't you go... Wait a minute, is America the whole world?
Yes, it is.
World champs?
Yes, it is.
This is a tournament where we really determine the world champs.
The world champion.
That's how you do it.
See, Paul, that you just slam dunked you with that one, because he's 100% correct. This is the world. The Red Sox did not win the world championship, Dave.
Right. There were teams in Japan saying, wait.
Of course
there
were
teams in Japan and Korea saying, no, you didn't win the world championship.
Man, the next thing I know, thing you know, you guys are going to say that wrestling is fixed. You're ruining this for me. Of course it's the world. The Super Bowl is Super Bowl doesn't say it's a world champion, does it?
Correct. No, what they do.
It's just baseball. The baseball's a world champion.
They call themselves world champions. The football team?
Well, they can, because nobody else plays it around the world, so that's an easy one.
But do they call themselves world champion?
I think they do. Yes.
What about the heavyweight champion of the world?
That's fine. Anyone can fight him around the world.
Anybody can fight him around the world. So that's what, see, Dave, we're going to steer you in this direction.
The Stanley Cup, they don't say, is the world championship of hockey.
No, but they have the world championships of hockey, which is incredible hockey, and I suggest you watch it.
Well, I agree with you. That's good hockey, but that's not my point. My point is that the world champions of hockey, they don't have 9 million tournaments beforehand, and which they whittle down from 200 hockey teams.
Well, it's a 4-year process. You're throwing your title out every year. They're saying ours is so special, it's only coming every 4 years.
Every 4 years.
You know why?
Oh, boy.
It's every 4 years?
It's special.
Because only 10 teams possible out of the 200 has any chance at all of winning.
They have more myelin than the other teams.
It's a good point.
Yeah.
Good point. I'm going to learn about myelin. I'm going to.
So when we bring up in these podcasts World Soccer Preview,
All right. All right. Fine. What do you want to say about the preview? What do you want to say about the preview?
I mean, go ahead, Paul. I mean,
go ahead. What is it about the preview that's so interesting that we want to share with people?
So Messi and Ronaldo are probably going to age out on the next World Cup. So this is their last time.
Yeah. So, Ronaldo, it's amazing he's still playing.
And he's still scoring in the Premiership.
Yeah.
He just went to Man U. He's scoring
a great
every
player.
weekend.
Yep.
So he has a chance. Portugal's really good right now. There's a bunch of other players. Jota, who plays for Liverpool, and they have Bernardo, who plays for Man City. They have really good players. So they have a chance. Argentina just won the Copa, which is the South American Championship. Mm-hmm. So they're considered a contender with Messi, which would be great to see him.
And how often is the Copa played?
Same thing every 4 years, between the World Cup. So it's
we had some. Don't forget, we had the COVID problem here, so it's screwed up the years a little bit.
All right, so the COVID
and you have the Euro Cup every
things.
year.
Yeah, that shirt got through COVID, which is amazing.
I think it's still got COVID.
I didn't have to wear this shirt. This is a dress shirt. I didn't have to wear it for a full 18 months. It was wonderful.
Because we live in America, we have the U.S. to root for if they get in, which would be exciting. I don't think they'll get to the Final Four, but if they could get to the 8 of the 16, that would be exciting. And then we have Germany, obviously, and Spain and Belgium, who has a guy named De Bruyne, who plays for Man City. That's my favorite player.
De Bruyne?
De Bruyne is...
Why is he your favorite player? Because you like to say De Bruyne?
Because, no, we were talking about geometry. De Bruyne will get passes sometimes, and he will literally bend it parabically.
Parabically? He'll bend it parabically?
Around defenders to someone that's just getting in on sides on the far end, and he taps it in.
Wow.
Like outside of his foot, goal.
You know what I would say about that? I would say, he bent it like Beckham. Bend It Like Beckham, one of my favorite movies.
I've never seen that movie.
It's a good
For
movie.
A soccer fan,
Yeah, it's,
how many?
it is what it is.
How many soccer games are there in one season? How many teams, like in Europe, in the Division I league, top league?
36.
They play 36 games before they get to the championship, right? And those games are roughly about an hour and 45 minutes, 2 hours, right? Dave, so the Boston Red Sox will play 182 baseball games at over 3.5 hours a game before they even get to the playoffs.
Which is then 7 games series, 7 games
Here
later.
you are complaining the length of soccer and
but baseball, there's no running. There's no running in baseball. You don't see anybody having to run. They hit the ball. They jog around the bases. It's easy. There's not. Baseball is just a much rougher game in which you need to be a lot tougher physically and in better shape than in soccer.
If your sport is referred to as a pastime, it is not a sport.
Okay, George Carlin.
That is excellent.
How many games did you say they play in the Premier League? 37?
I think it's 38 or 36.
All right, so 38. So there are 38 there, and then they interrupt it for like 37 friendlies, and then you've got another 40 games that are World Cup games would interrupt the season to come out and play 4 World Cup games. And then what do? Fly down to the Copa League to play a couple of Copa games? It's a lot of games. He
is going to break out into Copacabana. You know
he's just picking up words. And now Copa is a new word.
It's just, and he's going to say Milan and Copa. We're never going to hear the end of it for the next 2 podcasts.
Well, the Milan part, so far the Milan's the most interesting thing about this. But finally, I want to just say this, because last week when we did this, Paul and I actually hashed out the topics, and we had an outline, and we had details, and we had information. And then this week, Jim did the research. So we basically got a list with 4 words. And this is how you know Jim Ruberti did the topics today. The note says, Revolution Update. So go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, well,
update us about the revolution.
The good news is the DC guy they fired the DC coach this week.
They did.
So they at least fire coaches in Major League Soccer. Oh boy,
nobody knows.
They were doing well though.
No, 6 wins. 6 wins.
DC United.
Yeah,
really?
Positively. Yeah, that's the guy they fired. Yeah. But
I went to the game the other night. Did you watch the game?
Oh, there you go. I watched the replay of it, but I didn't see it live. But go ahead. You went to it.
I just think that Columbus has really fallen off. I mean, Columbus won the whole thing.
How many times have they played Columbus recently, though? It seems like they're playing them
and they knocked us out last year, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
So it's good to see that we're like sort of not too worried about them.
Yeah.
I think we're worried a little bit more about
I know it was a draw.
City.
It was a draw. And
they dominated.
Those of you who gamble The draw was plus 300 for that game. So had you bet $100 for that game to come to a draw, Dave, which means tie in soccer,
Yep.
you would have won $300.
Wow.
Yes.
Wait.
This is
You would
news
have
to me.
won.
I didn't know you could bet on draws. I thought
Oh,
draw
no.
meant push, vig, payoff.
No, you can bet on, you can absolutely bet. It's called a